welcome to the CLOL Files, a special series we're doing trying to cover all of the top 8 collegiate championship teams as we hurtle towards the top 4 in the LCS studio. And I'm joined today by Bethany Lutheran's. What are you playing right now? I don't even know what role you're playing right now. But Ryan, how are you doing today?
Good. Yeah, I'm jungle this year, so
Jungle this year,
I
but
know
but it's
it switches a
changed.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that leads me to my first question. You are the role swap extraordinaire of CLOL. Like, what is that like playing all these different roles at a high level?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think first year I also played jungle, and then swapped to AD, and then to support. Now back to jungle. Now that Hunter's gone, it's fun, and honestly, I think it makes you a better player. It's
Hmm.
something I think more people should do, even if it's just for fun. They don't do it seriously. It's a challenge, but it's also fun for me. I know a lot of people don't like it, but to me, it's interesting.
No, that's awesome. I'm with you. I could never like stick to playing only one role. So I mean, not that I'm a high level player of any sort, but I agree. That I'm glad. That's a lot of fun. So. This year, of course, you all have had quite the journey. Right now, heading towards the top 8. Do you just want to tell me about Bethany's journey through CLOL so far this year?
Yeah, this year was a struggle to say the least. This year, or rather last spring, Hunter, our former jungler, he graduated, and he was kind of really the leader of the culture of the team and just the team overall. So it's a big shift. Obviously, we have Aiden, Dog 2, and Garrett Gweiss who came in, and they've been able to kind of fill those shoes somewhat. But with any roster swap, it's always going to be different.
Right.
And in the top lane, Yu Chan, our top laner, he's a freshman, and so you have a bunch of old guys, and then you have this new guy coming in, and the energy is different. It's been a struggle, but we never take ourselves too seriously. So we're just glad to be entering the top 8 here.
I feel like I always hear that the best teams never take themselves too seriously. Like you just guys are just having fun, and that's awesome. I mean, have things sort of come together for you all this year as the years progressed? I know obviously there's probably been growing pains, but have things come together the way you would hope?
I don't think there's. It really depends on the players.
Hmm.
Gweiss is a strong voice in the team, and so we've had to sort of adjust with that and adjust with how 'cause everyone brings different energy, and it's just about playing around those players. Um,
Hmm.
because of my role swap and me being kind of this fill player, um, it it's just that's kind of a nice thing because we get to fit the mold around whoever it is that's kind of our star player. It's definitely been a struggle, but we don't really have a lot of expectations every year. We, unlike some other programs, we don't view ourselves as a path to pro, even though that's happened twice now, right, with Bradley and UG. But we just kind of view it as League of Legends is this common ground that we all meet each other. But it's nothing more than that. It's really just a common ground, but we do so much more than League. Um,
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's not like we don't play League because that's not true, but um, definitely it's more than that.
Yeah, no, that's actually really cool. I love that so much. And it sounds like that's a really great way to view the game. And I mean, honestly, that's like in many ways, I feel like what a collegiate team should be outside of a path to pro, right? It's just 5 friends playing the game. That's really awesome. I like how you talked about expectations because, of course, you are now the last remaining member of the 2021 top 4 run. Do you want to speak on that? And you already talked a bit about how things have changed, but what's it like, sort of having that experience as maybe a leader in the team or just the most experienced member?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's been a big shift. That top 4 run was the core was kind of Bradley, Hunter, and I.
Hmm.
And the way we functioned back then is Hunter was the big early game voice and really helping us get through those first 10 minutes of the game or so. And then stepping into mid and late game, whichever, if Bradley had the gold or I had the gold, is usually one of us that were the voices. So Bradley and I usually in the mid game shot calling and stuff. This year, it's mostly just Splice kind of 1v9 with the comms. Um, he's really intelligent about the game, really smart, and he's kind of the primary reason we've gotten so far. I haven't been as big of a voice. Early, I tried to be, but I'm nowhere as good as Hunter was. So it's kind of Weiss 1v9 this year. Yeah.
That's valid. That is completely valid. Are you all poised to reprise the top four? Run any fighting words for Winthrop, your next opponent? Perhaps, I don't know.
I don't know. If I'm being honest, we weren't sure if we. I mean, I don't want to say this in the sense that like we thought we were going to lose, but we weren't really sure if we were even going to make it past round of 32. Last year, we got knocked out in that round of 32 by Converse.
Hmm.
And just based off of scrim results and just how things were going, we weren't really sure. But at this point now we're top eight. We definitely now that we're top eight, we've kind of stepped up like, oh shit, we might actually be able to run this back. And historically, we've done well against Winthrop. We haven't faced them too much in like a tournament setting, but in scrims historically, we've done pretty well against them. So we've kind of upped the ante this week, and we're hoping to at least make it competitive and hopefully go away
Hell,
with a win.
hell yeah! I love that. I'm ready for a competitive series. I believe in all of you. I mean, your series already so far. You mentioned you weren't sure if you'd make it past top 32. They've both been 2-1s. They've both been rather competitive, I think I would say. Do you want to speak on sort of the pressure, or the environment, or honestly, whatever, just about those two series?
Um, yeah, I think one thing that we kind of historically we've done is we have a warm up game or a warm up scrim
Mm,
on match day, which is usually with other CLOL teams who are doing the same thing. So it's like you'll kind of scrim, but it's kind of like a blitz, or it's not super serious, just something to warm up like an hour before the match.
yeah.
Our last two matches we haven't done that, so it's kind of bad because then the first game kind of turns up into the warm up game. So that's kind of our running joke now. First game is always warm up game. Um, yeah, we again the expectations we weren't really. It's always been this idea that we can win, we
Hmm.
just don't know if we will. Um, but after the series and scrims, we're feeling pretty confident. And the thing I like about us this year is we know exactly what we're good at.
Yeah.
There's a few comps and a few champs that like we know for sure if we get them that we'll probably win. But then it's a little trickier. Some of that stuff gets banned out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Are y'all gonna get your warm up game in this weekend? Are we
Yes,
gonna feel it?
yes,
All right,
yeah,
cool. We're gonna have a supercharged Bethany. That's what I like to hear. That's what will unleash all of you. So I want to focus more on you as well. How would you describe yourself as a player? And if people were to hear your name, what you would want people to think of? And that could be both as a player, but then also just in general.
Well, I think when it comes to League, people know me as like a freak when it comes to like champ picks. Back when I was playing ADC, I remember like Maryville would ban Heimerdinger and Brand against us because I was playing Brand and Heimerdinger ADC. So it actually drew bans. Um, in the jungle, I mean, I've even been labbing Urgot jungle. It's
That's
not
awesome.
troll; it's a real thing. But yeah, I don't really like playing the meta. Um, I know not every single one of my teammates will agree, but I think especially at this level of play, obviously CLOL, you have high level players here, but this isn't LCS, this isn't LCK or anything. I think sometimes players overvalue the meta.
Mm,
Um, I think it's always better to play comfort. And maybe that's not necessarily true for once you get to like that top four, where you have really talented players who are potentially going to go pro. But I think anything outside of top four, really, even top two, I think just play what you want to play. And so that's what people would probably associate me with is just weird picks or not really playing meta.
I love that.
Um, some players also associate me as like the guy who doesn't play the game because every season I don't know I grind solo queue for a bit and then I stop. I remember that year with Bradley and Hunter, Samira just came out, and okay, I'm also known for that, like abusing champs that just released. I climbed to challenger with like a 70% win rate on Samira or something over maybe 40 games or something, and then I just quit. Um, I get pretty bored of the game, so for me, and that's why the off meta stuff it makes it more fun for me.
Hmm.
A lot of the off meta picks are really interesting to me, whereas a lot of the meta stuff is really kind of boring.
That's really interesting. I love that. Oh man. There's something about getting your pocket picks banned against you. I feel like that's kind of Chad. You know what I mean? Like it's like I drew that ban. You know, like that's
Right.
awesome.
Yeah.
Um, well, the last thing I really want to ask you, I mean, everything you've said has just been so amazing. What would it mean to you to win this weekend and be able to go to the LCS studio and play in the top four?
That's a good question. I think actually this year more than any, it means a lot more to us. As you know, the second year then when we qualified for top four, we were in COVID times,
Right.
so we unfortunately didn't get that experience of flying out. So I know this year, especially for me, it means a lot if we have that ability to fly out and experience that. It's a shame that for whatever reason this year it just ends up being top four, but it just means we got to work harder and get the win, right?
Hell yeah. I'm expecting great things. I'm at least expecting that competitive series that you promised. It's I mean, Winthrop, they're tough, but y'all are clearly tough too. Is there anything else that you want to add to close out this interview? Thank you so much for talking to me though.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for having me. Yeah, just shout out to our director first and foremost, Lucas Ricky. I know one thing I'd like to say is we're not very connected to the scene like a lot of the other programs are. We don't really know a lot of people. We're not very active on social media and stuff. You might catch a couple of us in solo queue from time to time. I know that maybe Lucas could be a little controversial at sometimes, or some of us can be, but we're just out here having fun, and Lucas really puts his heart and soul out for all of us and does everything he can to make this program the best that it can be. Shout out to all my teammates, of course, for everyone playing and trying their best, even when times are kind of tough. And yeah, just shout out to everyone that kind of made this possible. Shout out to everyone at Bethany, of course, all of our professors for being understanding and supportive and whatnot. Yeah, and shout out to CLOL for hosting this tournament.
Shout out to CeeLo. Shout out to everybody. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate the insight into yourself and the program as well. Best of luck this weekend, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome.